Today we're going to be going over the auctions ending the last week of September, anywhere between Friday the 27th and Sunday the 29th. I want to take a quick moment to again thank everybody for showing up to our live streams. I believe we've done 3 of them right now, and we're really liking where it's going. And we're discussing what we can do more with them as a possibility, maybe even doing this one as a live auction. Because if you can see here, there's some stuff ending that we don't really get to go over, although we kind of did on the live stream before. So we are really covering quite a bit of all of the auctions by doing the live stream and then this one. But jumping straight into our first animal that I wanted to go over would be this Blackhead Yellowbelly pied possible orange dream. And this one kind of comes as a pair from the same breeder, is a Pastel Blackhead Mystic pied 50% head hypo. And the reason we pair these together is because it's, well, boy and girl from the same breeder. A unique opportunity there to work this project in order to pick up 2 snakes for a little bit cheaper. This male here has only a little bit of time left and has 0 bids. That is probably because it's a little bit of a higher starting, but they could have just set a reserve for 300 and then it wouldn't have gotten very many bids at all in some cases. So this $300 is the least that they'll accept for it. I actually kind of think that that's pretty cool when people do that. This is well worth it. Blackhead, Yellowbelly, pied. There's a lot of power going on here. I absolutely love what Blackhead does in just about everything, and it's no surprise that I love it in pied, especially with the Yellowbelly. The way it interacts with it is sort of similar to Suma, and not in the shading or the colors really, but in the fact that you have this crazy interaction of 2 worlds colliding. Almost like you could convince me this is a paradox right here. You got a very much more dark shaded and a light shaded like world just kind of colliding into each other, and the Yellowbelly is just creating all of this jagged edges of it, so it's not as smooth. So a lot of cool power here, especially if you want to work the Blackhead project. And this girl, by contrast, is a Pastel Blackhead Mystic Pie. That also happens to be 50% head hypo. You can always send that in for a shed test. That could definitely change some things in the future on what you want to pair to, or even the babies. If you were to pair these 2 together, it would definitely make a big difference. And you can tell what Pastel does to this, just really kind of lightening it up and creating this almost sand-like color to it. Very neat. Mystic is contributing to that too, no doubt, but I would be really excited to see the Super Blackhead pieds. If you need any further proof as to how awesome this combo can be, take a look at this right here. This is incredible. Just a golden dark sheen that starts off just pitch black and becomes more light as it gets down to its tail. That is insane. Look at the head versus the tail. That is absolutely insane. It's like an eruption from underneath. Nuts. Just absolutely beautiful. And that's the sort of stuff you could create doing this. And that's not even talking about if this girl ended up proving out as het hypo. You could eventually work that with the babies. You could work that back. You save a male, maybe you hit that male right there that I showed you, a male like that. Maybe even more stuff in there because you have Yellowbelly. That would be really cool interaction with that. Love to see that. Would actually probably not want Pastel along for the ride on that particular one, but you know, you take what you can get, and it doesn't really matter. If it proved out and the baby, you got lucky and it also was able to pass the head hypo gene, you send that one in for a shed test to RGI and it also proves out, then you breed it back to this female, and then you are really cooking with fire, because you always get pieds. You'd have a very good chance of getting Super Blackheads, and that's the biggest thing right there. And then you got a 1 in 4 chance of hitting the hypo. Very good odds. You know, I'm thinking 40 chests here in the future, but that would be really cool. Really cool. Moving right along to this animal, which we showed off in our live stream, but still worthy of showing here, and that would be this GHI Firefly double het sunset clown. And anytime you see anything with the sunset clowns as a potential result, you got to show it off. If you were working that sort of project, or you're interested in really working it and you don't have a bunch of money, I don't ideally like getting my hets into the males. You know, obviously you're breeding them to multiple things. It makes a lot more sense to have them, when they're taking more chances with females, to be a visual with recessive, but that's fine if you don't have a lot of money. The price is really right on this, and if you wanted to work sunset clowns, I mean, the chances of getting another double het sunset clown, a female, I mean, you'd probably spend more, there's no doubt, but you could eventually do that, and it wouldn't be an absolute bank breaker, I'd say. And you take the chance and you go double het to double het. It's not ideal at all, but show me somebody out there that has the money right now to buy a sunset clown to just start into this project. Well, they're definitely out there, but in general, I'd say a lot of people don't. So the opportunity to work something awesome is still here. And going het to het again, is never ideal, but sometimes it's necessary when you're doing new projects, when you're doing new things, and when you're on a budget. So that's why I have to show something like this. If you want to work Sunset Clown and you love it and you're kind of just like, well, I don't have that money, and well, that's okay, because you can do it. And even if you couldn't find a female, believe it or not, if it's double het, you breed the offspring, you test them, and you could continue from there. Now that is super duper unideal, but you know, you do what you can. This boy here is pretty well started. Probably give him half a year and he's ready to go. I had to show this one off. From Chimera would be this Monsoon, right? It kind of looks like it. It's absolutely incredible, honestly, but this is not a Monsoon. This is a Pastel Mojave Pinstripe Confusion Clown, 100% Axanthic. This is a lot of power. This is one of the cooler pinstripes I've ever seen. I love this, and I love pinstripe, and anytime I hear somebody say, oh, I don't like pinstripe, it's too old, it's too washed up, it does too much, oh, by the way, I love Monsoon, that doesn't make any sense to me. They are both nutty and they dominate, so if that's what you want, then you should like it. Now, I don't like it in everything because it is dominant as heck. Same thing with Monsoon. If you want to work certain pattern things, I mean, like, what are you doing in Monsoon? It is the ultimate pattern disruptor, and pinstripe's very similar. It is a big time pattern disruptor, and just know what you're working with. But this is insane right here, and that is definitely, by the way, the pinstripe and the confusion working together with a little bit of that clown magic to create this almost Monsoon like look. If anything, this is just smaller little raindrops versus how intense this one is here. They are very, very beautiful, but if you wanted to make that a little bit more of a budget than 8 to 10 grand, well, here's your chance. And I love this boy here. He's got a lot of power. Even if you take out the pinstripe, just the confusion, let's just talk about the confusion. That is incredible with clown. Such a beautiful morph, how they work together. And I wish I could see the belly on this, because a lot of confusion clowns have a nuts belly. It's like actually a selling point. It's not just white, it actually has a lot of little pattern on it. It's very cool. And we haven't even talked about the fact that this is 100% Axanthic VPI line. That is nuts to me. If you want to work the Axanthic clowns, can you imagine this in black and white? I can. That is cool. That is so cool, the chance of that. This makes me want to work that project, like the Axanthic type project. This right here is an all black and white snake. Wow, so cool. Next up would be this Desert Ghost Het Clown female. Now there's a lot of opportunity here to get a Desert Ghost Clown. This is the way to do so with a budget, and in an ideal way, because you're already getting one recessive in here. So your plan here would be to get a male clown Het Desert Ghost. And why? The reason for that is because we just said, well, you know, this is assuming you're on a budget. The clown will sort of fit together, and the Desert Ghost will fit together like puzzle pieces. No matter what, in a pairing like that, you would always get 100% hets, which you would never have to worry about. You have 4 results, basically, if you take away any possible incomplete dominance or dominance that you might add. So that would mean that you would either get double hets, you would get Desert Ghost Het Clowns, Clowns Het Desert Ghost, or Desert Ghost Clowns. So 1 and 4. So you're, you know, in a 6-egg clutch, you're averaging 1 to 2 hits for sure, and that is really good odds for getting that. So looks like this was actually acquired from Ball Pythons 101. Maybe they're just moving in a different direction. You can always message the sellers and find out about that. It's free shipping though, so that is really good. I really like what you could do with a snake like this. It's a great way to get into the project. And I had mentioned earlier, you know, just the kind of a pairing of a male clown Het Desert Ghost, but don't stop there. If you do this, get the male with a lot of genes in it, so that way you are creating some really cool projects into this. There's so many different things. Leopard comes to mind. A lot of things that add just cool stark blacks, spot nose. There's a lot of different avenues you can do with the Desert Ghost Clown. I mean, you see this Pastel Redstripe, and Pastel's a good one with Desert Ghost because it keeps it. Like, look at this. That's insane. This is a blurry picture too, and it's still so nice. And here's a triple Axanthic Desert Ghost Clown, and we've shown this one off. It was one of our top picks in one of the Tinley shows, I know. Just incredible. Just so unbelievably incredible. There's an endless amount of potential things you can do, so that's just eye candy at this point, but very, very cool. And you know, obviously I'm kind of thinking again for the future, not just looking at just this one animal here. I'm thinking about what you can do with this animal here. And well, wouldn't you know, if you wanted to, now this isn't the pairing I suggested earlier, but you could do this and it would still be crazy on a budget. It would be this Desert Ghost Het Clown boy. The upsides of a pairing like that, if you were to get both, would be that you would always get Desert Ghost, but you would not always get a clown. You'd have decent odds, but when you did not hit the clown, you would be 66% hit clown. So it's just a different way to go about it, but it's better when you're sourcing your babies, I'd say, to go the one that I mentioned earlier, but not a bad idea regardless if you wanted to go into this a little bit cheaper. This one's nuts to me. I absolutely love this, and this is a real good chance on a budget. I think I might be interested in this one because this is easily a Pompeii maker. You have 3 of the 4 genes necessary in here, not counting the recessive. The only thing it is missing is spot nose. So if you get yourself a spot nose clown, that's the ideal way to do this, because he would always pass 1 copy of clown on. You know, when you don't hit a clown, it's going to be het. But every single baby, I think it's going to be 50-50 whether it's clown or it's a het clown. The chances of hitting a Pompeii aren't the greatest, but they are not terrible. I mean, when you consider all things, honestly, in the pairing like that. The point of the matter is it's not crazy expensive to get an animal like that, and depending on where this ends, this is not all that nuts either. And you really start to see the way that Black Pastel and Yellowbelly and Redstripe kind of work together in this, and you can start to see a little bit of these interactions and the eventual creation of this awesome snake and how close it really is. It's just missing the visual clown and the spot nose to create this interaction here. Really just 2 genes away when you think about it that way, actually. But it's just so incredible, and there's a lot of potential to do things with this and beyond the Pompeii. Because think about this, the Pompeii is awesome, but you can do things with the Pompeii. There's people have already done stuff like JSA Reptiles Special Pompeii. That is one of the most incredible Pompeiis I've seen. There's a lot of stuff you can do there, but there's other avenues you can go here too. Regardless, when you miss, you're still hitting the stars. The animal itself is already so beautiful. Like, you look at this, the sides, it's just so awesome, rusty red and contrasting to itself. You have a very red rusting type color here, very chaotic and dirty, and then the top of it is much more clean by comparison. Just these perfect little dots of these orangey yellow, very, very beautiful. It kind of reminds me of like flower petals floating on like a rusty red river or something. Moving right along to this Fire Hurricane, Mahogany, Yellowbelly, Het Clown, Pos Orange Dream. And you might look at that and say, how is that not pied? Well, that's not exactly normal, but it is definitely heard of for ringers in snakes. Down here in the comments, it says, you know, it obviously acknowledges that this girl here has a ringer, but it says neither the sire nor the dame had pied, but they've never been tested. So maybe it's worth sending a shed test in, because ringers do happen more often in the pieds, but it's not a science. Sometimes it can just happen. It's kind of cool, kind of unique. There's so much potential you can do with a girl like this. Again, having your hets and your females, if you're gonna have hets anyways, I feel is always the way to go. You know, don't cheap out on the girl by any means. Pack her with these cool genes. But if you need to do it on a budget, this is the way to go. You get yourself a visual male with quite a bit more spot nose. I'd love to see confusion in this. Like I said, I absolutely love the way a lot of these genes work together. Especially Mahogany, Hurricane, Yellowbelly's always welcome addition to just about any combo. One of the absolute kings of subtle, but yet awesome in combos. So again, just a lot of different things you can go ahead and do. There's a lot of interest in this though, so don't expect this one to end super duper cheap. Had to show this one off. This is a really powerful male as is, but on top of that he's got a bit of a paradox, which is really cool, honestly. I hope he holds this as an adult, but this Leopard Pastel Yellowbelly Clown Pie is just electric. Look at these awesome colors. It's absolutely beautiful. Just such nice oranges interacting with the stark blacks and the yellows. Absolutely incredible. I wish this had more pattern. I really wish it had more pattern that would really suit it. Well, the head is awesome. Just everything about this is so beautiful. And then the paradox here, you can kind of see it. The description here says that well-known breeders were telling them that there was a bit of a paradox, but there's definitely, look at this. It's like a ghostly, like it's underneath the skin. Like, that is really cool. I haven't seen one quite that unique ever. There is a reserve price on this, but I always say bid to where you're comfortable. So if you were comfortable with $750, don't just do that, because it'll shoot right up to $750. The whole price goes up to $750. You know, throw yourself a placeholder bid. So I don't know, something comfortable, $550, something like that. It's probably not going to break the reserve. And then with an hour left, see what's going on and climb up slowly in increments of maybe 25 to where you're comfortable. And if it doesn't stop the reserve and it stops at $750, well then no harm harm, no foul, because it'll just cancel the auction once it ends, and nobody owes anybody anything. But if it does beat it at, say, I don't know, 650, then you can stop right there and just see if anybody else outbids you and kind of keep going from there as a normal bid system. I'm not saying the 750 is where I think it's going to end. I'm just using it as an example. I have no idea. It's very unique. Amongst Paradox, I haven't seen one quite like that. They said it almost looks like you're looking down through a lake or something with some colorful shimmers in there. Just very fantasy-esque. I really like it. There's a little bit of pattern there on the tail, actually. But whether it be a super unique pet or a powerful breeder, it is a powerful breeder. Let's not kid ourselves. It's a double recessive with OD, Yellowbelly, and Leopard. The only thing I'd like to see more in this is Enchi, because that'll get that pattern in there, and it reacts super well with all of these genes. Just so unbelievably incredible. I love this animal. Next up, another one with a reserve would be this rainbow. I've seen a few rainbows on here, and I love showing them off because it really just shows the uniqueness of this gene. They're very much in the line of the Lavender albino, so that more kind of lavendery type look, but I think they do it, quite frankly, the best. Look at the cool patterns. They're more of a light type animal, but these lavenders are the deepest of any of them. And this is when they're first born. A lot of the other ones, they take some time to shed to start coming in with their lavenders, whether it be candy or lavender albinos. But the rainbow is a gene that I don't see worked all that much. Again, has a reserve, but there's a good amount of interest. I don't know if it'll beat that or not, but it is just a really cool animal. I really like this. I'm surprised it's just a rainbow. It looks like it's got some other stuff going on. The pattern and whatnot is not very normal at all. Very cool. And I don't know if rainbow maybe interacts with that way. Maybe it does more than just that cool color. So very cool, very unique. I've seen some rainbows on here. It's definitely a conversation starter. They definitely grab attention anytime they're out there. All right, not every day you see a proven breeder sunset, but here you are. This is a ready to breed cinnamon cypress sunset. Big boy too, and it has aged pretty well. Obviously doesn't look like the stunning example that is a new hatchling one, but I like this. It is pretty cool. I love the very dark head as comparison to the lighter body. I would not call this necessarily a brown out so much as a bronze out. That was corny, I'm sorry. But you see the price tag there. But I appreciate the fact that people are just putting up what their minimum is. And this is a boy that's going to immediately be able to throw sunsets for you if you want. Whether you buy a female, it's much cheaper, or however you go about it. On top of that, he has two really good genes that work with this. I immediately would want to work something like lace, maybe even another recessive like lavender. I'd really like to see banana in something like this because I think the banana sunsets are just so good. There's not much that needs to be said with that combo. That's why it's probably one of my favorites to date, that and the lavender one. It really solves all that quote-unquote brown out in my opinion. I mean, just if you need any further proof, I mean, you just look at it. It's incredible. It's just a really nice orangey tint, but just really cool colors. But that's the sort of thing you get when you get by this. I mean, you spend a lot of money, and there's a good chance that maybe it even doesn't get bid on. Honestly, some people don't want to. They see this, and we're not in exactly the best of economic states right now. And we are in an election year, and I've worked in sales, in various areas of it in my entire life, and I can tell you that no matter where I have been, whether it's in retail or otherwise, that the election year always affects people's want to spend, whether it's on higher corporate levels or on just the regular person. Either way, I would say this could definitely easily get your money back if that's the sort of plan you wanted to go. If you wanted to go down the sunset and you like these genes, and Cypress is really good. That's honestly the one I'd really want in this, just of what it does. But cinnamon is obviously no slouch either. I just feel like it doesn't exactly help with the brown out that you're trying to combat sometimes with these. I would immediately, if I was going to get into sunset these days, after seeing what I've seen from Red Boa and Leviathan on these banana sunsets, that's the direction I'm going, because it's an easier incomplete dominant to get in there, and it's gorgeous, and that's amazing. Now we're going to go over the Hognoses now that we're a little over halfway through, and as usual, there's about a little under half a page of them lately, but it doesn't change the fact that they are all awesome. And I wanted to start off with one that I really liked, one that I think I might be kind of interested in, is this Conda Het Albino. All it says is Conda Het Albino, but that is not a normal looking color. That's like purple line or the extreme red. I'm not as well versed yet, but that is incredibly awesome looking. I love it. I love the color. And with Hognoses, there's a lot more polygenic traits, which is something that passes on no matter what. It's a cool looking example of an animal, and I love the albino project anyways, that I am pretty certain I am in on this a little bit. And by pretty certain, it means that I'm placing a bid as we speak, because I really like it. It's cool. Its price is very reasonable. I'm not saying I'm going to go all in on it, but I'm definitely going to be poking around when this ends tomorrow. But regardless of me bidding on it, if this sort of hognose suits your fancy, this is definitely worth it. Next, we're looking at this female 66% Het Leucistic. And Leucistics work somewhat similar to how they do in ball pythons, in looks at least, and that is being an all-white snake. I don't believe they have any different eye color or anything like that, but they are all white. It is not an incomplete dominant. 4 or 5 years ago, these were selling for $10,000. I watched them go for that much. It was nuts. They're still very sought after. That eventually will continue to go down, but this could potentially create animals like that. So it's something that, you know, if the price stays reasonable, you could think about getting in on, because they're really cool. I really like the all-white snakes. Obviously, there's not much to go beyond that, but it's still very striking, very cool. And if you're just looking to create cool snakes that will literally always have a market, that's the way to go, honestly. I know people who create highways, freeways, and blue-eyed leucistics in the ball python community and do very well for themselves, because those sell all the time. You make these simple, awesome combos for people to buy as pets, they will always sell, always, because they look incredibly exotic and unique, and people go for that sort of stuff. Obviously not the big-time breeder sometimes, but I guarantee you there's a massive market for that sort of stuff, and there's definitely one for this. Just take a quick opportunity to get this awesome close-up pic of their face. These snakes are just so cool and unique with their goofy shovel nose, but you kind of see why some people will look at this and mistake it for a rattlesnake. It's got a similar kind of look in some way in there, but it is most definitely harmless and most definitely far more goofy. This Axanthic Conda Het Lavender has quite a bit of potential, and I show it off because there's a female here that is, well, the visual example of both of those, where it is not Het Lavender, it just is lavender without the conda, and they are together right now from the same breeder. And if this is the sort of project you wanted to work on, this would be kind of a cool way to do that. Just get both of them and save on shipping. As you can see, the conda obviously brings in these splotches or these little dots that make it look more like an anaconda, as opposed to the normal pattern of a hognose right here, where it doesn't reduce as much, or where they are more prevalent, more busy. And then the Axanthic and the lavender work together to kind of create this almost like frosted type look. You can kind of see this is a really good picture of it actually right here. This is kind of what they end up really looking like as they age. It's just a very cool grayish. Honestly, it kind of reminds me of the moon more than Mercury, but these two could definitely work together quite well. I really like this combo a lot, actually. Makes me kind of want to do that, but I gotta be careful with how I'm expanding into hognoses right now. I kind of just want my pairings that I have right now to grow up and see how that works out, because they produce a lot more than ball pythons, and I don't want to get in over my head. And then finally, ending off with this pair, actually, and this is a snow making pair. Snow is the combination of albino and Axanthic, but this is a female Yeti and a male Axanthic Het Albino. And a Yeti is a, well, exactly that. It's an albino Axanthic conda, so it is a snow, but it also has conda. Obviously named for the abominable snowman, a monster. But it has red eyes and a very frosted pinkish type look quite often, honestly. And they are not related in any way. But if you want to just work one thing right away, a cool thing at that, this would be a good way to do it, because you're just getting everything you need right off the bat. Looks like if you have any questions, you can just message them on Morphmarket or Instagram. Back into the ball pythons here with this Leopard, Blackhead, Clown Pied, and another pairing, but for ball pythons this time. The male is a Blackhead double Het Clown Pied, and the female is a Leopard Pied Het Clown. So this is the female right here, and here's the male. So right off the bat, you might not think too much of it, but I guarantee you a Leopard Blackhead Clown Pied is going to blow your socks off. So something to definitely think about. It'll probably be a reasonable price that it ends at. I really do think so. Also from another really great breeder there in Newsman Reptiles, I definitely think this would be a cool project. You know I love Blackhead. Blackhead Clowns are awesome. Blackhead Pieds are awesome. You had Leopard in there, and you've got a recipe for some absolute beauty there. So not much more to say there other than the potential potential you could do with something like this on a very good budget at that. I really don't think this is going to go for an insane amount. And again, you're getting a pair here, so you're good to go right off the bat. Another one here from Chimera would be this black pastel Redstripe clown, 100% Desert Ghost boy. What did I mention earlier? This girl right here, a Desert Ghost het clown. Well, this is a clown het Desert Ghost with black pastel and Redstripe. I think I'd love to see a Blackhead Redstripe Desert Ghost clown. I think a lot of people would love to see that. So I think this one could have actually been pied. It tested negative for it, but that would have been nuts. That is so incredible, the potential that you could create. I wonder if anybody has done it. Here's something somewhat similar. Redstripe, black pastel, Desert Ghost clown just also has Yellowbelly in the mix. And I'm telling you right now that this is actually one away from being a Desert Ghost Pompeii, just missing the spot nose. Incredible, incredible. And to think that you could have something very similar to this with a pairing that I just showed you. Just so cool. This would be a great boy to pick up to put into that project, because black pastel and Redstripe are just beautiful. Whether you're working into a Pompeii project or not is irrelevant. That would take a lot of work, obviously, but it wouldn't be unfeasible to create something similar to this, just minus the Yellowbelly, with that sort of a pairing like I showed you. You just pick up that and this. Lots of cool potential there. So and you get other females like this. You get other Desert Ghost het clowns, honestly, with other genes in them, like spot nose, that works great with it regardless of what pairing you're trying to do. Really cool. Very, very awesome male here. And speaking of black pastel, would be this black pastel GHI het Hypo 50% het clown. Immediately I would send this in for a shed test to find out if it is het clown, because that depends on the kind of male I'm getting. And this female is very close to size. So you get a male now, and honestly, she might be ready before him, or just about at the right exact same time. The fact that she's still this awesome and dark at this age, while still having a shimmer and a very cool mahogany type look, I love it. And this just kind of shows you what a lot of these dark genes do, like black pastel GHI together. Just so awesome. This one has laid, actually, so she must have just laid. Yeah, actually, no, she's proven, so never mind. So she would need to get back up to size. She laid 6 eggs. Looks like the first pairing from a Mojave and she clown het Hypo. She proved as het Hypo, but not clown. I mean, you could send the shed test in, but on 6 eggs, not hitting a single one. Not looking the greatest, but just 6 eggs, I would never 100% rule it out. So I would send it in regardless. It's not crazy expensive, just to rule that out. And regardless, you know, creating a Hypo project with this would be awesome as well. For a female that's already up to size, if the price is right, I would go for it if you are into Hypo regardless. Got another pair here, and this one is with the puzzle gene, and this one would be 2 het puzzles. Nothing to blow you away here, but again, I like to show to multiple people. I like to show to everybody. And if you want to get into the puzzle project and you don't have a lot of money, but you have a lot of passion, this is a good way to go. Not the greatest way, but depending on your budget, this could do it for you if you just want to start creating awesome things, learning and having a lot of fun while doing it, but not just to do it just to create a bunch of single genes. You're creating puzzles, which are a very awesome recessive morph. And this right here is a puzzle. It just kind of blows up the pattern, just makes it kind of crazy, like little puzzle pieces in a way is where it got its name from. It kind of just fitting together. So it works really good with a lot of other morphs, specifically with very cool color morphs. So that's the sort of stuff you could eventually go for. Not for every single person, not people in the big time breeding game for sure, but still a viable option for somebody depending on your situation. Keeping on a theme here of pairs would be this Axanthic clown pair. So they're not Axanthic clowns, I don't believe, but this would be a male super leopard, a Mojave, possible Redstripe, 66% het clown, and VPI Axanthic, almost the size at that. And then the female is a pastel het VPI Axanthic, so that's 100%, 66% het clown female. Immediately I would send these in for shed tests on all of it. Not the greatest odds of hitting everything, but the price is going to be very, very favorable, I feel here. And you, even if you hit on a couple of these, you're still doing very well. Again, not for everyone, but there's still a lot of genes being thrown around here. So, and by the way, super leopard is a thing. There's a lot of debate on how dominance may or may not work. Super leopard looks exactly like a leopard for them, as far as I can tell. So it's very difficult to tell unless you send it in for a shed test, but that is something you can do as well. And there's still a lot of potential, especially if you get lucky and hit on all this. Axanthic clowns are awesome, and these genes would complement it very well. All right, finishing off here with our last two. This first one here being a Pinstripe double het lavender sunset. I said earlier that one of my favorite sunsets is lavender. Well, here you are. Being in a female, this is the way to go because you eventually get a male that is visual, and you can use this, and I don't think the price will go through the roof, but there's a lot of cool potential. I saw the lavender sunset, I believe it was from Brock Wagner a while back, and it is incredible. It is so beautiful. Just a nice bright orange, like a sherbet type orange. Or maybe it was Brad Boa that actually had it. Yeah, could have been Brad Boa that showed it at the show, not Brock Wagner. But they're sitting right next to each other, so you'd have to excuse me for forgetting. But this is it, and it's, look at this. It is the definition of orange. Really cool, and it really shows, like I said, the potential. And you're not seeing here as well the subtle pattern that's just etched into this animal. Just on the top, it's like a lava flow. Very, very cool, and that's the sort of stuff you could create with something as unassuming as this. Being the female gives you a lot of time to source a male at that while you grow her up. And I really like to see it with Pinstripe. I think that would really pop, honestly. And then on for our final snake would be this super scaleless head snake. These snakes are so cool. They are, and if you ever get a chance to hold one, you might not be able to because a lot of the breeders don't really want you to, if it's just a show and tell, because obviously it's not, good for everybody to be messing with them and whatnot. But this comes with a word of warning. Taking care of it is not as easy as a scaled ball python. The humidity needs to be up all the time or they do not shed correctly. This is not for just someone to jump into without doing enough research. Think of it like this. You're not buying a ball python. That is maybe the mindset you should have if this is something you were serious about wanting. And as far as a breeding project goes, they make awesome things and their patterns are so different. Whenever you create a scaleless snake, they are way different than other snakes, than just a regular one. The pattern's even goofy and weird and unique. It's so different. It's like unearthing a different pattern underneath of it, like an upside down type snake, like some sort of Stranger Things upside down world type snake. But I say again, with extreme caution, do not just buy this snake. You are not doing it any favors if you do not know how to take care of it. Now, I don't want to say that it's the most incredibly hard thing in the world. I'm just going to say it requires a lot. You have to make sure the humidity is right when these things are shedding, and quite frankly at all times. Bad sheds are a big time enemy of this animal, so you really need to make sure that you take care of it. Therefore, it's going to change the substrate that you use and such like that. And I've heard that you should not put them, since they have no scales, on certain substrates like Cypress mulch, things that can hurt them a little more, because again, there's no protection here. It's just something to think about. They look awesome, no doubt, and I don't know what this one will end at. I just hope that whoever gets it is ready for it. And that's our video for the week. If you got anything off of this week's auction or last week's auction or from the live stream, let us know in the comments. I absolutely love hearing it. And if you want to see a breakdown of what we consider to be the top genetics in ball pythons right now, you can actually check that out right here for recessives and right here for incomplete dominance and dominance.